Hey everyone, welcome to DKFC, where we're talking Week 35 of the Premier League. I'm your sports ambassador, Wade McWayne. Joining me, Edo Delamonte, Jamie Hinks, and Tyrone Atkins. We're talking 11-man picks. Now, if you're playing DraftKings, and of course you are, you're going to put 11-man squad together for 50K. Which guys are you going to pick? Which guys are you going to look for? I'm going to ask these guys, we're going to go through all the positions, who they choose, and why. So let's start off with goal. Tyrone, take me through your goal. What do you got?
Okay, yeah, quite easy for me this week. Just thinking about what team might not ship that many in. And I think it would be Chelsea. Chelsea won. I'm predicting a 1-1, but possibly a Chelsea victory. Courtois is injured, so Begovic is back. There are rumours that Begovic might be Chelsea's #1 next year. There are rumours. We'll have to wait and see.
No.
You've heard the same?
I was laughing in agreement.
Oh, right, yeah. Because apparently Courtois might be,
Courted?
Yes, exactly what I was going to say. I thought, should I do that pun? It's awful. You did it for me.
You left it hanging. I just
Hanging on a leg.
There you go. But yeah, he might be. So Begovic, not a bad keeper at all. Is he the kind of keeper that wins you leagues? Not sure, but he'll do for now because he gives a damn. And so, yeah, 3.9 thousand, not the cheapest, certainly not the most expensive on the day, but averages around 7 points, and I reckon he should be quite busy against Bournemouth. So,
Edo, fellow Chelsea fan, who you got in goal?
Okay, so I have Danny Ward of Liverpool for 2,900 because as it stands, he will be starting. I do think Liverpool have an easier time of it against Newcastle. You fellas don't agree, and I really hope I'm right. I still, yeah, it's a bit of a risk, but I saw that a few winning teams from last week had focused a lot on Liverpool. They'd had a few West Ham players, all of them high scoring essentially, and I do think the Ward will have a comparatively easy game of it. I don't think he'll concede and maybe make a few saves. And the only time he's played this season, at least the last time he did, he earned 9 points. So I think, if he does that again for that kind of price. Also, I was trying to save money. Saving money, a big DK skill.
Of course.
Let's hope it works.
Jamie, goal. Who do you got?
I mean, you two both talk about teams that aren't going to ship goals. Fraser Forster of Southampton, they're not going to concede any goals.
Yeah.
This is the guy you should go for. He's 4,200 on DraftKings. Win and clean sheet.
price, man.
Price?
Yeah, but he's cheaper than Joe Hart, who's the higher one.
No one picks Joe Hart.
Is Joe Hart what? 4.6? Something like that? 4.7?
I think there's value to be had elsewhere, which you'll find out. But
As long as you choose everyone on Southampton.
I didn't even know who Danny Ward was.
yeah,
there we go.
I mean, there's so many cheap Liverpool players in there today. But
Yeah.
but yeah, Fraser Forster, win and clean sheet, maybe one save, probably not. Yeah.
Okay, now we're talking to defenders. Edo, work me through your sort of mentality of why you chose your defenders. Who you got?
Well, so I went for Champions League last time I was on this show, and I did skimp a lot on defenders. That cost me a lot. So this time around, I'll be making more of an effort. We're going to beat up on Aston Villa today.
All right.
Surprise.
So it's Southampton all the way?
Spoiler
Yeah.
It's considering I could have put two Southampton defenders in there, and Ryan Bertrand just lost out. But Cedric Soares for 3,900 because he's a bit cheaper than Bertrand, so I saved up a little bit there. But his average fantasy output, just over 10 points, has been doing really well of late. 1.3 crosses per game, had a good game against Leicester City. And yeah, since he hasn't played a heck of a lot, he'll be fresher than some of the others. So I think that Cedric, who I was following when he was back at Sporting Lisbon, I just thought he was a very good player back then. A little bit of the Eric Dyer mould, but of course Eric Dyer is much better. Yes, that's the kind of player I want on my team, and he'll be making loads of crosses. So he's in.
All right, Jamie, am I correct to assume that you've gone a lot of Southampton in all of your team? Or is it, how's your defense looking?
I've gone very Southampton heavy in my old team.
Yeah.
Starting off with the defence, where I've got Virgil van Dijk,
Okay.
3,300. He's a very classy defender for someone coming from, and Edo needs to do two more defenders.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
You haven't finished your defence.
I forgot how to
Yeah,
do
no,
more
it's fine. No, it's okay. No, it's okay. You were really happy about the guy you had. No,
Yeah,
it's fine.
I could just do
And
Cedric
Jamie was
Soares 3 times.
No, it's fine. Do your other two. I thought you were just
So
choose the one guy.
Just him in defence. Unfortunately, that is
That's
not
fine. Well,
allowed.
Jamie's already given you a sneak peek of some of his.
Yeah,
I was going to go on Van Dijk.
Yeah, no, it's fine. No, let's keep
So
going.
Virgil van Dijk has been playing really well,
Yeah.
and he's such a good player.
He's going to score a header.
I thought you were doing
Yeah.
it just to get hints from them. But go ahead.
Another guy I'm skimping on, and we've got a little bit of Liverpool mode here with Brad Smith at 2,400. He's another player you got to check
Brad Smith,
until
yeah.
the last minute, but he'll be a fullback. He's done well in the little time he's had in the Premier League so far, and I do mean very little time. But at that kind of price, putting in crosses against what I think is still quite a weak sort of Newcastle fullback set, I do think that he'll have a very good game. To complete it, I've gone for a bit of a splurge. 5,400, Alexander Kolarov. I don't think I need to introduce the man. He's been shooting a lot, he's been crossing a lot. I think he'll have a good game. Monsieur Kolarov to complete.
All right, those are his. Now we'll go back because we interrupted like one of those sort of annoying video ads that come up, and it's like, I don't want to watch that. Just get to me the thing. So Jamie, no, I'm kidding. It's all good.
Poor Jamie.
No, you're not. No, he wasn't. It was against you. No.
Poor me then.
Don't worry, it was over your head. Jamie, take me through your defenders and the rest of them.
Right, another Southampton guy.
All right.
Ryan Bertrand, 4,600. He did 10 crosses per game over the last 3 games and 14 fantasy points per game. They've played some good teams the last few weeks, and I literally was blinded by the fact he was this good on it that I just thought I'd have to have him this week. And I've also gone for Brad Smith. He had 6 crosses against Bournemouth, and he really likes to get forwards. And at times I've seen him play this season, he also snaps into tackles a bit like John Flanagan, and he looks like a slightly better version of him. 9.3 fantasy points per game right now, 2,400. If he plays, he's incredible value this week.
Well, that's great. And you guys both agreed on Brad Smith. So the way that this whole interruption happened worked out perfectly. Tyrone, your defenders.
Who's Brad Smith? All right.
The guy they both agree on.
I know. Good luck. That was fine. I've gone for some staples. I've gone for Francis at Bournemouth. Yeah, it's steady, 3.5 thousand. I've really gone for value, by the way, in my defences. 3.5 thousand. He averages around 6.5 points. Game he's playing against Chelsea, should have a bit of some purchase down there to make some runs. He's a decent player. I've got for Stockwell hero Nathaniel Klein because he's from Stockwell and he's playing for a very, very resurgent Liverpool team at the moment. Again, he's 3.5 thousand also. Quite cheap, I feel, and he averages about 7.5, so not bad. And then I've gone for a risk. I've gone for a centre back, bit in the mould of your Van Dijk, former Southampton legend. I've gone for Lovren of Liverpool. He should be playing, I believe. The hero against Dortmund. He's only 2.5 thousand, so this was a budget-based selection, but he averages around 5,000. Who knows? He could be the hero against Newcastle as well.
Okay, let's move into our midfield. And I know, Jamie, there's always one guy from Manchester City that you love taking. Is he on your team? Is he in your midfield this year?
Oh, yes.
Okay, this week, let's bring it through your midfield.
Kevin De Bruyne, 7,900, 14.9 fantasy points per game. Even though he didn't have the most De Bruyne of games against Newcastle, he still had 10 fantasy points, which was quite a good output. He's just absolute quality. The only thing I'm worried about is that he won't start, which would mean I'd probably swap him out and get another Southampton player in there. But I'll do that when it comes to it. Alongside him, I've got Samir Nasri, who's 4,000. I believe he may be fit this weekend. He has an assist, a goal and an assist in the 3 games since he came back from injury. And yeah, 14 fantasy points in that time. The only thing I'm worried about is if he's injured, but he's 4,000. So, and then as well, Jordan Ibe from Liverpool.
Ooh.
I think he's going to be another one of these youngsters that gets in the team. He's 3,100, which is so cheap. Had an assist and 13 points against Bournemouth in the kind of youngsters game last week, as it became. And I think he'll start just because of that Villarreal game on Thursday.
And of course, as always, you're going to watch the lineups, make sure, because you don't know who's going to start, and you want to make sure that you pay attention to your lineups and what's going to happen in the game. Edo, let's move into your midfielder. Give me 3 midfielders.
Although I believe that every
Or
single
maybe
one
you
of
got
these
one
players
that
can
just
win it. Yes.
go right ahead. Maybe
no,
one guy
let's
just
go
plays 3 roles.
incremental. We begin at 4,100. We've got Ibrahim Afellay, simply because he's dipped a little bit of late. I needed to kind of fill in my midfield without maybe spending too much. But I think Afellay is the kind of player who can hurt Manchester City, who have conceded more this season. I think they've lost, 5 games this year in the Premier League, so they can be weak at home. They can concede goals, and a guy like Afellay can make the most maybe of that sort of, if the centre-backs are a little creaky, he can get in there and score, and I see him as value. I saw that price, I went, I have to take him, also because Arnautovic hasn't been at his best of late, so I thought I'd save a little bit and go with Afellay. 5,800, we have Sadio Mane. Aston Villa, need I say more, but in Mane's case, there's a hat-trick from last year against Aston Villa, the fastest ever. 3 goals in 4 games, top form, and again, at that kind of price, too cheap, and just over 10 fantasy points a game, so I think he's a complete bargain. To complete it, Dusan Tadic, 6,400. He's got 3 assists in 6 games. He's a terrific player. I loved him when he was back in Holland at Groningen. I think he's an excellent pick, and even at that kind of price, I'm willing to risk it. He's averaging over 13 fantasy points per game.
Well, your forwards and utilities must be a rainy day because you're saving up a lot of money, it seems like. Tyrone, who's got your midfield?
I wish I had your midfield.
I really like that midfield.
That's a tasty midfield.
Beat people up.
That's
midfield.
why we do these videos, so people can learn all these
What
things.
you've got there is 2 Southampton players. Of course, they're playing away at Villa. But I overlooked that completely and went for 2 Newcastle because they're playing a bunch of kids for Anfield and a Liverpool team that have obviously got their eye on next Thursday. They might be getting overconfident, Liverpool, at this point. They've been playing really well. But Newcastle are playing for their lives. So, for the 3rd week in succession, I've gone for, that's right, big Andros Townsend. He's killing it. He got me 35 points last week against the Swans, and that was brilliant. He's like a man possessed. Why wasn't he like this before? Why wasn't he like this at Spurs? Or why wasn't he like this from January? But the last month he's been playing superb. 5.6, not incredibly cheap, but he can back it up with his recent performances. 12.5 he's averaging at the moment, which is pretty darn good. That's a huge turnaround because a few weeks ago I think he was averaging about 4.8, and so it's been he's easily in my team this week. I've also gone for risk. 4.2 thousand. I've gone for Wijnaldum of Newcastle. You never know with this guy. He's not without talent. He's just without any kind of endeavour or invention. That's really it. But on his...
Whoever he likes it on a cold afternoon in Liverpool, that's my only...
Well... They haven't got Sky cameras on him this week, have they?
That's true, so he probably played.
Yeah, so he play a blinder, surely. We'll see. But Wijnaldum, good value. Still averages just under 9, you know, so he's not without some taste there. He's all right. And then I've gone for the only Chelsea player I'm going to pick this week. I've gone for Fab. When I do pick him, he tends to play quite well. When I don't, he doesn't. Let's see if he does against Bournemouth. But 5.5 thousand, still not incredibly cheap. But let's not remember, he is a world-class footballer. Let's just hope that he can turn it on. I'm not going to pick Hazard again before the end of the season. A, he's injured, and B,
I forgot he played for Chelsea.
so have we. And so, yeah, he averages 9 points as well. So, look, I think these are very, very...
5,500 for Fabregas, right?
It is.
Yeah, pretty good value.
Pretty good value on his day, and hopefully he can do it down there on the South Coast. So, yeah, I'm quite happy with my midfield.
All right, let's move forward to our forwards. Edo, you have 2 forwards. Please tell me their names.
So, yes, I'm betting quite heavily in Liverpool's favour, and I'm going with Roberto Firmino and everyone's favourite, Sturridge, of course.
Okay.
5,700, 5,600. They both average just under 10 points a game. I think Firmino will have a cracker just because he's an absolutely fantastic player. This will be the kind of game where he's playing a weaker defence. Newcastle will fight him really hard, but I think, we're talking about motivation. I think Sturridge will have a lot of motivation because everyone's stolen the show from him. And recently, that great night in Europe, he wasn't exactly like even though he scored goals every time he's played, he's actually been reasonably good. So coming back from injury, this could be the kind of game that can sort of remind Jurgen Klopp that he's still there and still a very good player. And he does have an incredibly efficient. He scored a lot of goals. He's 87 appearances, and he's already managed something like 50 goals. I could be wrong on that, but he
hit 50.
He already hit 50.
So impressive.
Yeah, he's very quick at getting to that mark. So I think and that kind of price, 5,600, I had to take him.
Reds up front. Tyrone, who have you got in your forwards?
Okay, I've took a bit of a risk. I've gone for the priciest player on offer. In a match that he may or may not play in. I've gone for Sergio Aguero, 8.7 thousand, which is a lot of money. But nonetheless, when he's fit, he plays. That's what I find with Aguero. He's not like a lot. Pellegrini does tend to play his best team when he can, certainly with the forward. I don't know what's in Aguero's contract, but he tends to play every game. I'd have risked, it's true, it's like I would probably risk putting him on the bench for this, at home to Stoke. Give Boney a chance. He's not a bad player, but I think that Aguero will play, and I think he'll have an impact in what I see as a Man City victory. Next to him, I haven't gone for Graziano Pella.
Oh.
Sorry, but I have gone for his partner, Sugar Shane Long. Yeah, as I now call him. Love Shane Long, 5.2 thousand. No, because he was a guy a couple of years ago. I was like, why is he in the Premier League, this fella? He's just taking up space. But no. He's played his way into our hearts. He is a proper Premier League footballer now. And he's won me some points of late as well, so I'm a fan. Averages 10 points per game now, 5.2 thousand. And I reckon, who's he playing? He's playing Aston Villa. So there we go. I think he should have a good day at the office. So I'm very happy with my forward line.
Jamie, who's your forwards? Bring me through.
Right, I've gone for the most expensive player on the game too. I've gone for Sergio Aguero. I think they really need to go for it in this game because it's so tight. They're going to have to play their best team in these games, and Wilfred Boney is not in that team. Sergio Aguero is light years ahead of him. He has 100 goals for City now, and he's scored almost the same amount of goals as Vardy and Kane in quite a few less games because he had that injury. He's the best striker in the league by miles, 20.5 fantasy points per game over the last 4 games, and pick him if you've got the money. Alongside him, I've gone for a bit of a weird one here, Jay Rodriguez, because I think for Southampton, I think they're going to play him at some point, and if they're going to play him in a game, it will be this one because it's against Aston Villa.
He is fit now then.
He is fit. He's been on a few times. I mean, if you want to get him some game time, this is the perfect game. He's only 3,200, and I think he'll score if he plays.
I think I would score if I played.
Exactly. Yeah, he's cheap. He could score. Yeah, and yeah, exactly.
Okay, you also have utility players, 2 utility players, which you can also add to your squad. Edo, who you got for utility guys?
The Sugar Hill Gang. Shane Long.
Yes, yes.
The Sugar Hill Gang. I saw him and I loved him. And yeah, you mentioned Wijnaldum. I was actually furious because I saw his price and it was something like 4,000. Not Wijnaldum, sorry. Although I did love Wijnaldum, he just didn't make it. I meant Boney. Boney's really cheap. And yet, for some reason, I see Iheanacho being mentioned in a lot of previews. And I'm just, why don't you play Boney? He was so expensive. 5,200 for Shane Long and 5 goals in his last 6 games against Villa. And yeah, he's been playing really well. And again, it will be a landslide victory, as in political terms. So I think that will be way too easy for Southampton. And my last guy, all killer, no filler. Sorry, I meant all filler, no killer. Conor Randall, a Liverpool player, 2,300. Another guy. I think Klopp will want his people to run again.
Who are these people?
On your people.
Who are these people playing for Liverpool?
I should go for Cameron Stewart now.
Cameron Stewart. Cameron Stewart, believe it or not, I could have picked him too.
Yeah.
And yeah, Conor Randall, just because, I mean, Klopp, people buy into the Klopp experiment. They want to run, they want to try. Newcastle will be running hard, so will Liverpool. The more I think about this game, the more I'm wanting to ramp up the score and make it even a 3-2 for Liverpool, honestly, because it will be a little bit insane. It'll have elements maybe of that desperate Man City game, what was it, in 1995, 96, when they had to go win at Anfield, and they only ended up drawing 2-2, and there was a bit of a farce, because I think at one stage they thought that a draw would be enough, and it wasn't. I'm getting my games confused, but either way, it was crazy, and I think this could be similarly crazy.
Crazy game. All right, Jamie, who's your utility guys?
Right, I saved a little bit up, and I've gone for Daniel Sturridge.
Oh, hey.
I really think, because Origi got injured on Wednesday night, and I don't think he's even going to make the Villarreal game. They're not going to play Christian Benteke anymore, I don't think. Sturridge has got 7 goals in his last 11 games, and he's just, I'm so happy as an England fan that he's fit again, because I thought he was the real deal in the World Cup, and then he got injured. And none of that ability seems to have gone anywhere, which is so nice as an England fan and obviously as a Liverpool fan as well. And alongside him, I've gone for Jordy Clasie again, who I went for the other week. He kind of gets quite a few tackles and interceptions. You might chip in with a goal. It is Villa after all, and he's only 2,800. So I might just change that up for Conor Randall though. Who knows?
Who's Conor Randall? Who are these players?
All right, we're going over utility players. Tyrone, who's experiencing a bit of dementia right now with players, doesn't seem to know who's playing. You're in the studio. You're safe.
I don't know, all these young Liverpool players that Edo's come up with, and you, and I just think they just sound like they could be builders for all that.
They're white men.
Randall and Sons.
Yeah, Randall and Sons with his mate Danny Ward. The only Danny Ward I know is a comic mate of ours.
Comedian,
He's a really good guy. Apparently now a goalkeeper for Liverpool. I had no idea, Danny.
I didn't know comedy times were that tough. Sorry, Dad. I got a job, though.
I have no idea what those guys are. But my utility players, I've gone for double Man City on this. They both will play. They're not huge point scorers, although in previous seasons one of them would be. I've gone for Yaya Toure, who should play 4.5 thousand. Crikey, how much would he have been last year or the year before?
He'd have been a lot.
A lot more. And so we're talking about a player that's winding down now, I think, and probably looking at the Premier League exit. But here we go. One of his last ever games, probably at the Etihad. I think he should have a good game against Stoke if he plays, which I believe he should. So yeah, 7.7. He still averages, and there we go. And I've gone for a risk. I've gone for a risk here because I only had a couple of quid left. 2.9 thousand. I've gone for Fernandinho, who does get into the mixer. Not bad with the tackles. Averages just over 5. Not brilliant, but hell, that's why we've got utility players.
That's exactly what I have utility players. And that's what it's all about. It's putting together an 11-man squad. Hopefully these guys gave you some advice. Let's take a look at some of their squads. Let's take a look at Edo's first. Edo, very across the board, a lot of players that we've never heard of.
Who are they? Who are they?
2,300. Very low value, but also mixing it up and around in the bigger ones. Okay, let's move over to Jamie's. There's Jamie's. He's got some big. Jamie's got 8,700 for Aguero. That's a big value. And of course, De Bruyne, 7,900. Good player there. Let's take a look at Tyrone's. There we go. Oh, isn't that lovely? Big value and some other smaller players as well, but a very balanced out lineup. That's how you do it. It's just that easy. Go to DraftKings.co.uk. Put together an 11-man team. Choose a lobby. Play. Welcome to the big time.